Hey, what's up guys, Mashin here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about some potential things, including a crackdown on some CSGO botters, along with some other things. What we're starting off with, obviously, is going to be that CSGO stolen skin controversy. Now, if you didn't know, some CSGO skins are coming under a little bit of heat because they are potentially stolen artwork. Now, it's very interesting because the person who says they stole it does not really think that they stole it. In fact, they say they created it. It's a little bit of a controversy here. We're going to be talking a little bit more about it after a quick word from our sponsor, SkinsMonkey. The sponsor for today's video is SkinsMonkey. Now, SkinsMonkey is the quickest, easiest, and most importantly, safest way to go ahead and trade your CSGO skins. Now, SkinsMonkey is super easy to use. You just have to take your item, take the item you want, and just go ahead, apply code MasterShiny to get your free $5 if it's your first trade, and just click trade. And if you've got no money to spend right now, they've got two ways for you to get some. First is just heading over and topping up. Make sure to use code MasterShiny for a free 5% there. And they've also got the freebies section where you can go ahead and enter free raffles that happen every single day. And as always, thank you so much, SkinsMonkey. Make sure you're using the top link in the description to claim your free $5 today. Now, talking about these skins, it's not really too much of a discussion in my opinion. The worst case scenario is probably Valve goes ahead and remasters or redos the actual skins inside of it. There's probably not a ton of evidence to support the idea that they're going to create another contraband skin. If we look in the past, probably the most obvious example is that M4A4 Griffin, where people thought it was going to turn into another contraband and then it didn't. And I think that's pretty much enough precedent, at least at this point, to go ahead and say that we're not going to receive another contraband skin ever. I mean, let's be completely honest, Valve's already did this for 4 skins, and the odds that they would go ahead, go back on that precedent, and then create another contraband or potentially 2 contraband skins now just does really not make sense, and therefore I can't really see any reason as to why they would do that. However, that doesn't mean this decision or this situation is going to be any easier. It's pretty disappointing because, in my opinion, this is probably going to hurt a lot of potential skin creators. When something like this happens, it brings negative controversy to the game, whether Valve intended it to or not, and the problem of that is basically we run into the situation where Valve has no good reason to go with new creators anymore. If they know that a new creator or potentially multiple new creators just cheated their way into the system and stole artwork, why would they ever go back to the new creators when they have creators that obviously are very supportive of them and they know they create good work? They have good skins inside of the game that obviously aren't stolen. And now Valve has to go through the headache of obviously potentially those copyright claims, but also just remastering and redoing the skins themselves. Now, before we get too deep into the decision that Valve may or may not have changed at this point, we got to talk a little bit about the craze that's been going on. There's a couple cases that are on the move. Most specifically is that Spectrum 2 case. Spectrum 2 case just had a huge investor kind of surge. I guess maybe it's just one person, but the Spectrum 2 case just had about 50,000 sold in the span of an 8-hour stretch and another 10,000 sold right after that. So almost 65 to 70,000 cases were sold in the span of 16 hours. Now, this doesn't really mean a ton, but this takes a lot of the quantity of the Spectrum 2 case off the market. It was sitting at a pretty decent number. Now it's sitting at 25,000, which obviously is still a decent amount of cases, don't get me wrong, but it's significantly less than what we saw. If you want to look at the price point, it's up a decent amount, very considerably similar to the Chroma 3 case, which is also in a pretty similar position price-wise. There was no big investor rush or potentially single investor buy-in for the Chroma 3 case, but that doesn't mean the case isn't still on a very nice trajectory. Both of these, in my opinion, do have a lot of potential moving forward with this nice growth we've been seeing for the past month, and I think it's something you should definitely be informed about. Now, this next topic kind of bleeds over from the last, but it's very interesting because we're almost seeing potentially a soft crackdown on what Valve has been doing against the botters. If you don't remember, last year it seemed like a lot of botters were picking up a lot of CSGO cases, and I believe Valve did do something to kind of crack down on it at the time, but obviously it's still continuing, and there's a significant amount of people that benefit from it. And let's be honest, in the current state of the game, I don't really know if the prices would be as low as they are if we did not have these botters. But it seems like Valve has transitioned a little bit in their mindset, because what we're seeing right now, at least from the anecdotal evidence I'm going to provide here, is that a significant amount of people are potentially being impacted because we're seeing a lot of anecdotal evidence, like I mentioned, of these people saying that their times waiting are going up. And it's a pretty interesting scenario if you think about it. There's a significant amount of people who farm cases, and as this Reddit thread mentions, a lot of people just sit there and idle. If the time taking is doubled, for most of these people, it's probably probably not going to impact them a ton, but there's a lot of large scale operations, including one that I talked to who I'm obviously not going to disclose. At this point, they say they haven't really noticed too much for changes, but it's a very interesting scenario. This could potentially be the reason why we saw someone in the previous scene pick up 50-60,000 Spectrum 2 cases. If the rare cases become much more valuable because we're seeing the active duty cases not being dropped as much and therefore the prices are going to stay elevated, it could provide a significant incentive for a lot of these cheaper cases that are in that rare drop pool. Prismas, you know, a lot of those cheaper cases, Horizon, CS20, Danger Zone, significant amount of those cases you think about under 50 cents could provide enough reasoning for people to open them, because not everyone knows about ROI. A lot of people in my comments like to say that true gambling addicts don't care about ROI, and I guess that is true. It's not something that's absolutely crazy at this time because obviously nothing is confirmed, but it's definitely another very interesting thing. And then the last thing we're going to be talking about is some CSGO market manipulation. Now there's a couple TikToks accounts out there, at least at this point, one of which being Augstorm Minimal Wear, talking about pumping up skins prices. Obviously this one is for the Augstorm, and it's very successful, or at least it went successful. The biggest thing I want to point out is does not appear to be some big elaborate money manipulation investor kind of thing. This person is not too smart. They've left a significant amount of their information out there. If you want to see another video about that, I could potentially make it. It's not really my area of expertise, but I just want to say this is not something I would obviously recommend participating in. This person's left a ton of their information out there, like I've said, which probably isn't the best move for them, considering people do get banned for this type of things. And since they left some of their information out there, they could potentially have some pretty angry people coming to them. And this is not an isolated case. There's a ton of these out there. The other one I want to point out is the Godsent Hollow. Obviously, this one's up pretty significantly as well. Once again, just don't participate in this and you're going to be completely fine. Another case of someone who I believe is independent from the first one. This person is not in North America. They're actually over there in Europe. But once again, leaving a lot of their information out there, not a smart idea, especially in a case like this, where they're obviously trying to just go ahead and take advantage of the situation with a lot of hype around that Augstorm. Now they're trying to transition it to the Godsent Hollow. Once again, as I've repeated it a couple times, just don't participate in this. People do get false bans, and a lot of them do end up getting lifted, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily foolproof. There's a lot of people who are still stuck with these bans and have to spend a significant amount of effort to try and get rid of these bans, and it's just not worth it for the minimal amount of money you're most likely going to get. And because of all of this interest and potentially some other factors, we're also starting to see the RMR capsules as a whole increase once again, which is absolutely crazy to think about in this day and age. But that's pretty much all I have for today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.